Hey everyone, as you can see, I'm here at the American Cemetery in Normandy, France. It is meticulously kept, it's very impressive, and facing me is Omaha Beach. It's the cap of a long day here in Normandy, and seeing a lot of great sights from D-Day. As you can see, I visited Normandy, France as my second stop on my backpacking adventure. And it's not because I'm a history buff or anything like that. It was just something that I felt that I should do if I was in France and if I had the time. And so I wanted to make sure that I visited to appreciate it and just see it in person. And so it was a good trip, and I would never have been able to visit it if I hadn't been able to go on a tour. So I signed up for a full-day American Highlights tour, and we visited a lot of the D-Day beaches, a lot of the D-Day sites, and on our trip, we actually had a veteran. I think he was British, and he served in the telecommunications department as an operator, but it was still nice to have him along, and he brought his daughter along on the trip. So, following is what we saw on our day touring Normandy, France. Hey everyone, I'm standing on the dunes of Utah Beach, where on D-Day 24,500 men came ashore right here. Only 200 died. This was actually the success of D-Day, and it's quite a place, really windy, but it's good to be here and actually see this in person. Hey everyone, this is Omaha Beach behind me, the bloodiest site on D-Day, and this is where it all happened. Directly behind me, as you can see, is actually the stone wall that they had to scale to get up, and then they had to climb the dunes behind that. Thousands of people died here. It's quite a sight to actually be here in person. It doesn't have a lot of the remnants of the actual day, but you know there's a lot of history here still. Since I did the American Highlights tour, I went to Utah and Omaha beaches. And to be completely honest, they were a bit of a disappointment because there was very little there that said anything about D-Day. In fact, most people are just treating it like a regular beach. And in Omaha Beach had actually been turned back into somewhat of a resort, and places where wealthy people would come and live, and there's a casino right there as well. So it's kind of disappointing. Maybe I was naive to think that there would still be some of the markers and the obstacles still in the water, but nothing like that existed. But still, being there and being able to visualize exactly what happened and where the boats were coming in and who was attacking where and where the turrets were and where they had to charge, it was still nice to see it in person. And I feel like any trip to D-Day would not have been complete if it weren't for a visit to the beaches. Hey everyone, I'm here at the American Cemetery in Normandy, and this is located just off of Omaha Beach, which you can see in the distance. And this cemetery is where the families of over 9,000 Americans chose to have their loved ones buried after they died fighting for the country during World War II. The American Cemetery was probably my favorite stop on the entire day tour of Normandy, and I was really excited to see it. I wanted to make sure I had a lot of time. Unfortunately, I only had half an hour, but it was just a really beautiful place. It was absolutely immaculate in the upkeeping and the groundskeeping of it. It was just really nice to see a lot of the people there and just wandering around, and it's a very, very large place. The crosses just go on forever. And I'd been hearing all day the numbers about who died and how many died on the beaches, and it was actually a lot less than I had thought. But when you actually got there in person, you could actually see what that number looked like when it was all added up. And so it was a good place to stop, and it was one of the main reasons I actually went, and I'm really glad that I could see it, even though it wasn't for very long. Hey everyone, welcome to Saint-Mary-en-Glace, France, which is in Normandy. And I'm here on a tour of the D-Day area sites, and behind me you can see a steeple of Saint-Mary-en-Glace, and that is a parachute hanging from there, and it's the story of John Steele, the famous parachutist who landed there, and it was made famous by the movie The Longest Day. So I'm seeing a lot of sites and sending them back to you. Hey everyone, this is Point Juhawk right here, and this is where Army Rangers scaled 102 feet of cliffs to conquer this heavily fortified German artillery place. It was basically considered a suicide mission, but it's basically what allowed D-Day to succeed, because without them, the ships would have been incredibly vulnerable and could have been destroyed, thus ruining the chances of success and victory on D-Day. There's more to Normandy, though, than just the beaches and the cemeteries, and so we went to a few of the other sites as well. And one of those is St. Mary, which is the famous church steeple in which John Steele, the parachuter, got stuck. And it was featured in The Longest Day, and I've seen The Longest Day, I've seen Saving Private Ryan, and the entire miniseries of Band of Brothers, so it's kind of fun to see these little sites along the way. And so I got to see that. I got to go to the Airborne Museum. We walked a little bit around St. Mary, and we saw like actual bullet holes and marks where there had been fighting from way back in the 1940s in World War II, and so that still existed today. We also went to see some hedgerows, and those were really massive, and they were made by the Vikings to keep the wind from their crops, but they were used by the Germans to protect themselves from the Americans and to hide and make it really difficult to proceed through the region and take it back. We also went to see Pointe du Hoc, which is where the Army Rangers scaled the cliffs to take out some heavy German artillery. All the while, this cliff was being massively bombarded by tons and tons and tons of explosives, and so the entire region is just basically giant craters that are left from all the explosives, and you can see giant concrete parts of bunkers that used to be bunkers, and now they were just flown through the air, and they landed hundreds of feet from where they were. You saw a 3-ton piece of German artillery for their machine gun pivot, and that was blown hundreds of feet away by the force of the explosives. So it was very powerful to see exactly what force these people were undergoing. So we kind of went all around the entire region, saw some really important aspects of it, and it was a really good tour. So, coming to Normandy, it took me about 12 hours on the train. I had 5 connections or so. It was just a really long process. I didn't make one of the trains. I thought I wasn't going to even make it into the town on time. However, I found 2 connecting trains that eventually got me to Paris, which got me to here. It was a nightmare, so I finally got here. I hadn't eaten all day, so I had a can of beans and some kind of meat for dinner that night, and then I just crashed. Now, I'm about ready to go off again. It's a nice little city of Bayeux. However, it's a bit small, and I'm ready for something a bit more exciting. I'm going to be visiting Paris next, and so that'll be about a 2 or 3 hour train ride tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be much better. But it was kind of nice just to have a short stay here, but I don't think I could stay much longer. I was able to relax earlier this evening and watch The Longest Day again, all the while eating a crepe full of ham and cheese. And also, though, I can say that I met some cool people while I was here. I met a guy who bought a one-way ticket to Amsterdam 2 months ago with his friends. There in Amsterdam, he bought a bike, and he's been biking the entire Western Europe ever since. He's been down to Spain, so it's kind of fun to hear his stories. So I can't say that this city was a complete bust, but I don't think I could stay much longer. So I'm ready to move on. Paris, you're next.